Hi there. Welcome to our Made Tech Team interview series. This is a collection of chats aimed to better understand what each role within Made Tech is all about and to feature the great work members of our team are doing. My name's Carson. I'm the digital marketing executive here at Made Tech, and today I will be talking with Catherine, our delivery principal based in our Manchester office. Catherine, how's it going?
Hi, really well, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. To get started with a little bit about you, how did you become interested in the tech industry?
It's hopefully quite an interesting story. I started out in clinical research actually, so I did a PhD in medical biochemistry, and then gradually moved into more research management.
Mm,
So I was running research studies, and then ended up working at an organisation called the NIHR, National Institute for Health Research. And after I'd worked with them for a few years, overseeing research across the NHS, there was an opportunity to fill a role as the product manager for their new system that was replacing three legacy systems.
okay.
So that was my first sort of official role in tech. I'd
Mm,
always been sort of quite tech literate, data literate as well, working with our BI teams.
mm,
But that was my first sort of experience working with an agile delivery team, and I absolutely loved it. Found that combination of um, project work and something a bit more technical and a bit more sort of engineering related, really great, really
mm.
engaging. Every single day was different, and I thought this is what I really love doing.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good start in the industry
Mhm.
then.
Yeah.
And outside of work, what hobbies do you have?
I've got a few. I think all of us have maybe embraced cooking and baking a bit more over the last couple of years with lockdown.
Mm,
I've always loved baking. I think it kind of fulfills that skill set that I left behind in the lab,
mm.
sort of needing to be very precise and measure things. But outside of the kitchen, I do quite a bit of running. I'm doing the Leeds Half Marathon next week,
Mm.
and my partner's doing the Yorkshire Marathon in a month's time, and I'll do the 10 miles alongside that. So
Nice.
lots of running training, which is needed when you're doing all that cooking and baking.
Yeah. Busy then, yeah. Before you joined Maytech, had you worked in the public sector at all?
I had, yes. So I mentioned I'd worked with the
Mm,
NIHR. They work alongside the NHS. I'd also done quite a bit of work prior to joining them with the NHS. So quite a bit of work with public sector. After the NIHR, I've worked with NHS England and Improvement, and also with the Health Services Executive over in Ireland. So quite a bit of public sector work with a bit of private sector sprinkled in there as well.
yeah, yeah. And how do you find working in the public sector?
I really enjoy it. As I said,
Mm,
I've done a bit of work in the private sector, mostly just to see how it felt and how different it was.
mm,
And I'm definitely far more comfortable and far more at home in the public sector. Um, I love the fact that everything that we do is aimed towards making a difference and making people's lives better, and you can really see that impact in the public sector. It's just like that direct line between the product that you're building and how it's going to impact on people's lives.
yeah, yeah. I think I've heard that a lot in these interviews. It's nice to see that impact that you make. Um, how long have you been at Maytech?
I've been here coming up for 4 months now. So I joined in May this year.
Nice. And how did you find out about the company?
You actually approached me. So one of the recruitment team had noticed my CV,
Mm,
seen the skills and experience that I had in health, particularly,
mm.
and approached me. Um,
Nice, nice. So what attracted you to Maytech then?
Well, obviously, when I got that sort of recruiter email, you get quite a lot of those, and
Yeah.
I had a bit of a. I mean, I think one of the things was that the recruiter was actually from within Made Tech. It wasn't a recruitment company,
Mm,
so that sort of grabbed my attention a bit, and then. I did a bit of research about Made Tech, and there were a number of things that really sort of stood out to me. One is that it's a fairly small company.
mm,
The previous place that I worked was quite large, and I like the idea of being part of a smaller sort of organization where you get to know everybody really.
yeah.
Um, also the purpose and values of MadeTech, the fact that we work almost entirely with the public sector. The couple of private sector organizations we work with service the public sector, so it's just one step removed.
Mm.
Um, and just the values, the openness and the transparency, and it really struck me when I was reading the handbook, and the fact that the handbook itself is openly available,
Oh,
that this is a company that really sort of embodied quite a lot of those agile principles that I felt that I feel are really important, and are the sort of things that I want to live by.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And even with the handbook, it's so encouraged that everyone contribute to it and everyone makes sure that it's kept up to date as possible, which I think really speaks volumes about the
Yeah.
way that we work at Made Tech. So,
Absolutely. And I think, looking at it from the outside, there's always that bit of doubt, this is how how somewhere is presenting themselves. They're talking
yeah.
about this feedback culture and openness and transparency. And then you land here, you have to take that leap of faith. You
Mm,
land here, and the first week of onboarding, the amount of time that was spent talking about the feedback culture, talking about how we give feedback,
mm.
how we try to build that into our teams, that really just affirmed to me that I'd made the right choice.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Nice. So anyone who's looking to apply, what was the interview process like for you?
Fairly straightforward. I had an initial chat with the recruiter who'd
Mm,
contacted me initially. We had a phone call to talk through what MadeTech was like, what my CV looked like, just a general sort of getting to know you sort of chat.
mm,
Then I had phone interview with a couple of people from the delivery community within MadeTech. And that was sort of an initial screening. Do I know what I'm talking about? Do I actually um, have the delivery experience that I say I do? And then that was followed up finally with a face to face, well, virtual face to face interview again with a
mm,
couple of people from the delivery community. I also, because I was joining to have a bit of a focus on health, I had a conversation with Hazel Jones, who is our head of health and also the market principal for Manchester. Again, just to make sure that this was the right place for me, that it was going to
yeah.
offer what I needed in my career, the sorts of challenges that I was looking for. So that was over and above what the usual interview process was, but that
Mm.
was it really helped settle my mind that I was making the right move.
Sure, sure. So what does your role here involve?
Quite a few different things. So as a delivery principal, I look after a number of different deliveries. Um, I'm focused, as I said, mostly on health, but I do um, take on other deliveries if I need to. That's providing an assurance role to those deliveries, and also ensuring that the team is fully supported, that the delivery managers that are working on those projects have the support, have a slightly more independent and potentially slightly challenging viewpoint that they can go to. They can talk through
Mm,
problems. They can say, I'm thinking about doing this. Where are the pitfalls? What are the potential problems that we might face if I take this approach as opposed to that approach? So, providing that support to the delivery teams, checking in on team health as well. It's really important to make sure that our delivery teams are happy in the roles that they're doing. And if they're not,
mm,
that we're addressing any concerns that they have. Um, then, as a delivery principal, I'm also supporting our regional team. So I'm in the Manchester office. I take part in our Manchester leadership sessions. Again, quite a lot of that revolves around deliveries, but we're also looking at recruitment pipeline. Do we have the right people joining the team to help grow in the right
mm,
direction? We've also just moved offices in Manchester, so there's been quite a lot of talk about our office move. Um, and then I'm also quite involved because I joined with a focus on health as a subject matter expert, helping out the sales team
mm,
if there are any potential opportunities in the health space, talking them through some of the intricacies of that, helping with bids, helping with conversations with potential clients.
Sure.
So a really varied role.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of touch on a lot of different areas then. So
Yeah,
no 2 days are the same, which is exciting.
yeah.
Great. What do you like most about being a delivery principal?
I think exactly that. No 2 days are the same.
Mm.
I there's a bit of me that really enjoys, repetitive tasks, but I can only do that for an hour or so,
Yeah.
and then I need to do something different. And just knowing that every day I've got something different on the cards is great.
Great, great. So what are some of the most challenging things you find about the role?
There's a few things. Part of it is working with the public sector. There is a lot of bureaucracy sometimes,
Mm,
and there's often conversations where we all know what the right route is and what the right things are to do, but it's how do we get there working within the constraints and the structures. And,
mm,
and these are conversations with our clients. As a blended team, we recognize those constraints, and we're you know tr- working out how we deliver what we need to deliver for our users,
mm,
for the public, through those constraints, whether those are budgetary, whether it's governance, whether it's the legacy systems that we're dealing with. And
mm,
that is probably one of the hardest things. Is quite often with our deliveries, we need to maintain a service, we need to keep something running,
mm,
particularly in healthcare. You need to keep things running because otherwise people's lives are at risk.
mm,
But you also need to introduce a new system or a new service, and how you really have to carefully manage that.
mm.
That's one of the most challenging things, but it's also one of the most rewarding things when you get it right. So it's one of the realities of working in the public sector, that's challenging and rewarding.
Sure, sure. Sounds like it. So do you have any advice for someone who wants to be a delivery principal?
I think probably from what we've already talked about, this is a
Mm,
really varied role, and I think for a lot of my career, I felt that I've done lots of different things. I've picked up lots of different skills. So I've been a scrum master, I've been a product owner, I've been a business analyst,
mm,
I've been a subject matter expert advising people. Um, I was listening to an interview with Tim Peake, um, a few weeks ago, and he described himself as, jack of all trades, master of some. And I think my advice for somebody who's looking at becoming a delivery principal is that you get as much experience in as many different elements of delivery as you can, because when you get to the point where you are overseeing teams, understanding what all those different roles do and all the different perspectives and how they fit together and how that team comes together to deliver something, the more empathy and the more understanding you have of the different people fulfilling those roles and
mm.
what skills they bring to the table, the more effective you can be.
Sure, sure. What do you like most about working at Tech?
I think the people.
Mm,
And we've got some great challenges, we've got some great pieces of work, but I think if we didn't have the people that we do, who are turning up every day, open and um, open to that feedback culture, open to
mm,
giving and receiving feedback, really wanting to just do the best job they can, and with that public spirit mindset of we're here to make things better for people.
mm.
Without a team that was made up of people like that, I think it would be a really hard job. But because we've got such great people, it makes every day really rewarding, because everybody's here just to deliver and to
Yeah,
do the best that they can.
yeah, definitely. Great. And one last question for you. Do you have any books or resources you would recommend for someone interested in a role like yours?
Um, I not specifically around a delivery principal role, but something that I found particularly useful for my own personal development, is a book called The Daily Stoic.
Mm,
It's a book of quotes from philosophers, and there's just sort of a little bit of analysis. So it's not more than a page a day, and it's 365 or 366 pages. And I think this is probably my third year reading it. And I
Mm,
don't read it every day, but I've just got it sat on my desk. And when I've got a spare 5 minutes, it's great to just pick it up and see what's today's sort of message. It's
mm,
always something that has relevance. And over the last month, there's been a lot around that really, I mean, when you talk thinking about these are philosophers from 2000 years ago, a lot that speaks to the agile mindset. Like not everybody's turning up to do the best job that they
mm,
can do. Nobody's intentionally doing a bad job. And today's one is very much, think about the times that you yourself have perhaps not done what you wanted to do, not done the best job you could have done,
mm,
and use that as empathy to understand that somebody else that perhaps has let you down didn't necessarily mean to.
mm. Sure.
Which I think is very much feeds into that agile retrospective. Nobody's intentionally doing a bad job. So use that understanding, try to actually learn and understand what their intentions were, and deal with the situation, not judge the person because of it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, sounds like a really interesting read then. Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It was really interesting hearing about your experience and what your role is like. And if anyone would like to get in touch with Maytech or has any more questions for Catherine about her role here, I will add our contact information to the description below. Please feel free to reach out and be sure to stay tuned for our next Maytech team interview coming next month. Again, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Cheers.